Hey boys and girls, it's Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development, or Ron's Mixed Bag.
Ron's Mixed Bag.
Your source for pop culture, topics,
motivation,
inspiration, encouragement,
a little bit of rants,
a little bit of fun, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Joining me, of course, is Davin Hunley, our producer and our executive producer at Soar High Records.
That's me.
That's a whole other subject on a whole other day, but we could talk 30 minutes about that probably. Well, tonight's topic, Mr. Davo, is we're talking about how stressed society has become.
Okay.
And why people are so effing unfriendly. Now, I'm just going to think about a couple of simple examples of that this week. 2 examples. I was at a particular event the other night, and there was a waitress that never smiled, that never said a word, that was so effing unfriendly, in my opinion. Now, granted, there might have been a lot of reasons why, but that's beside the point.
Right.
When you're on the front line in a bar scenario where you've got people to serve, you know, you need to be like upbeat, friendly, personable, acting silly, et cetera, et cetera. Number 2 is a person at a gym that I go to, my workout gym, and this girl is just won't smile, it's just not friendly. And I'm coming in there, hey, how's it going? And I'm getting this response of nothing.
Why are you talking?
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff I want to talk about tonight. It's like, why is society so stressed out? What is going on? It's like, I was talking to another friend of mine, comes from a small town, and she said to me, I don't understand. I come from a small town, everybody's so friendly, and what's wrong with people? And this girl's pretty young, and I'm thinking, golly, she's gone from a little city to not even a big city. It's not even that big.
Yeah.
But big to her, she came from a 5,000 population town to a couple 100,000 population city.
Right.
And she's almost depressed because people aren't friendly and aren't being courteous. And that's another thing about courtesy. I always open the door for people. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a woman. It could be anybody.
Right.
Just out of courtesy, just out of respect to another person's, needs. And maybe they're having a bad day. That might just pick them up just a little bit. How hard is it to extend courtesy to people? Come on.
It's not. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Some people
have become hard.
Exactly.
Hard nosed is an old saying. Thick skinned. Now, why is that, Davin? There's a reason for that.
So I think that a lot of people use their emotions and use for example, when I was working in retail, there would be days that were really tough before I would go into my job. So I was upset, stressed out, school, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Every time I would go into my work, though, I still put a smile on because I knew I was there to get paid and work hard and do what I needed to.
Serve the public.
Exactly. But for some people, they let their everyday stresses get to them while they're at work.
So what's the solution to that?
That's
how do we work around that?
That's a tough one because it's different for everybody. For me, how
did you work around that?
I would be a different person. It's not really faking it, but I would almost per se fake it. I would be a different Davin at work.
So you would put on a new face,
a little bit,
a happy face, by comparison.
Even if I didn't want to be there, So what's the old saying?
Fake it to make it. So in
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. That's some people have that problem where it's maybe they aren't getting paid enough. Maybe that person that was at your event didn't enjoy the event or didn't enjoy the people that were around, or they had a conflict that happened before work.
Why did the owner of the establishment have that person working that event?
I don't know.
Let's talk about that. Sure. Here's my gut feeling. Probably it's hard to get people to work at all. Why is that happening?
They may only have 1 or 2
Why is it hard to hire people? I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because of welfare. Because people can get by without working in our society because there's so much free this, free that, free this, free that. They don't have to work.
Yeah. I got paid more during COVID, during the unemployment when everybody was gone. I got paid more then than I did at my job previous and that I do now. Think about that.
And I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I bet I'm in the neighborhood.
I think you're in the neighborhood.
I think aside from that, people are probably somewhat lazy. I think people, because alcohol and weed is so available, I think it makes people lazy. They I hate to say it because I know weed's legal, alcohol's legal, but if you can get by without smoking weed and drinking, I'm telling you, you're going to be a lot better off. Now, I get it. Recreation is one thing, but people have to do it all the time. No, it's a crutch to make you feel better for the endorphin high.
I agree.
And there's a better way to do it, and you know what that is. Exercise. We talk about it every podcast. But I only speak from my own experience. Because I used to do opiates. I used to drink. I used to chase women. I used to do all these things to make my endorphin level go high. But guess what? It was all replaced with exercise. 30 minutes to 2 hours a day of exercise, and I guarantee you don't need any of that stuff.
Your body is not chasing the substance. It's chasing the hormones that your body releases. That's what it's looking for. You can replace any substance with a hobby. Like, okay, I know you hate video games, but
I don't hate them. I just
don't understand.
I have better things that I would rather be doing.
Right, and that's okay.
I don't hate them.
For some people, though,
it's kind of like playing chess, isn't it, in a way? I mean, it's challenging.
Yeah, there is a challenge to it, and there's an objective. But for some people, it's better for them to play a game than to do XYZ that releases other.
But we're talking about specific. We're talking about drugs.
Right.
Alcohol's a drug. Marijuana's a drug.
I'm saying you could replace it with video games because they release dopamine.
Well, I would rather see them do video games than do those two things.
Exactly. You could replace anything that releases dopamine with one another. It just depends on the amount of dopamine it's releasing.
We talked about the dopamine thing one night. It was like on a scale of 1 to 15, they said that, like, sex was in there, alcohol was in there, marijuana was in there, heroin was in there,
cocaine.
Exercise was in there, cocaine. But they said that meth was the highest on the list by almost 3 times over any of these other substances, other items. That's crazy.
And that's what, it's the chemical reaction that they put in it. It's what there's so much science that goes behind it.
Well, I think we're getting off track a little bit. Not really, because
I'm ready to talk today. You got me.
Yeah, we're talking about, what's going on with society. Why is it so stressed? Why are people so unfriendly? Why are people so not courteous? Why are people not reliable like they used to be?
I also think that some people have trust issues. So
how does that play into this conversation?
For an example, a guest you had on our other podcast, ISO.
Yeah.
He is very I don't know who you are, so I don't really want to give you overly amounts of information. I don't want to be too friendly because then you think I'm soft, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? People are hard-nosed, and they have been like that. That's how they grew up.
That's how they grew up.
So some people don't trust others. They think, are you being friendly just to get at me?
I see.
There's being around my artist for a year now.
Yeah,
they've changed my perspective on that.
I see. So they're pretty hardcore. Mm-hmm. Well, some people are.
Some people.
Because they've grown up in a hardcore environment.
Exactly.
Growing up meaning from the time they're a baby to the time they're a teenager.
Yeah. They're adolescents. What's
causing that to be the case? Parents not being loving to their children, growing up, going to school where there's a lot of hard-nosed bullying going on, and
they're around a lot of hard-nosed people.
A lot of discrimination because you're black, because you're Jewish, because you're fat, because you're ugly, because you're stupid. I mean, all those. So kids are really mean to each other.
Yeah. It all just stems down.
I'm trying to remember back when I was a kid how that all played out, but seems to me I was bullied because I was kind of a nerdy guy, maybe.
Yeah,
if I remember back.
Yeah. I understand because it was the same way for me. I was the nerd that.
But you got into sports. You got popular. I got into speech and debate. And I was popular in that realm.
Right.
It changed for me in high school.
For me, it was college where it really changed.
So really, now we're getting back around to maybe confidence, how we felt, self-image. Those are we could do a whole podcast on any one of those topics.
Learning about
self-esteem
yourself and respecting yourself. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm just kind of looking at my notes here. I think people need to slow down. We talked about that one night. We had a whole podcast on slowing down. I'm driving down the street trying to obey the speed limit at 30 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood, and they're tailgating me. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, you know what? Have a nice day. Screw you guys. And then they'll just zip around me. But it's man, it's a friggin' residential neighborhood where kids are playing.
Yep.
The streets are narrow. I mean, you could easily veer off. You're on the phone. You go off you got kids. You got to watch. Then the other night, a motorcycle went around me, between me and another car. I mean, they just had a small space. Man, they went by me like a bullet, like a bullet. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what? You know what I think it really is? I don't think it's the slow down thing. I think it's more it's the thrill of speed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to agree with that because I drive fast.
You drive fast.
I don't drive fast through neighborhoods or anything like that. On the highway, for sure, I'm driving fast.
So there's a thrill of the speed.
Yeah, it's something
that's
about
an endorphin release.
Yes. One of the biggest things that I have chased, the feeling that I have chased all of my life that since this happened, there's this car that Dodge makes. It's called the Hellcat.
Okay, I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've heard about it.
It's super fast car. One of my professors in college had one. Let me drive it one day. One of the craziest feelings you'll ever feel. It was an even crazier feeling than being on stage.
Wow.
I have never felt anything like that before in my life. I've chased it ever since then. A drug can't even compare, in my opinion.
And you're still chasing that feeling?
Yes. No, I've never been in a car that fast.
Wow.
So it's just something to think about.
So on the other side of that coin, the idea of slowing down, I'm at the gym today, and one of my good friends is in there like this. I mean, I'm watching her, and I'm working out, and I watch she's going. And I walked up to her, and I go, I mimicked her.
Right.
And she looked at me and started smiling and laughed. So sometimes you just have to
relax.
Throw stuff back at people and make them realize that, hey, man, come on, calm down, relax, chill out. You got a few minutes extra. I know you got to get back to work, but they're not going to fire you because you're 10 minutes late.
They might. Jobs are weird now.
They might.
Jobs are weird.
I saw somebody advertising $40 an hour. It was like I can't remember what it was now, but if you do that math, that's like $80,000 a year to drive. I think it was a UPS driver, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
really? I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
some of these jobs have gotten out of line on what they're paying. $20 an hour to flip hamburger. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, I agree.
Look at the prices.
But the thing,
they've doubled and tripled.
The thing is, that's why it's expensive to live.
It all started with COVID, I guess.
Yes,
because you couldn't get people to work.
A lot of things were taken away, and a lot of people didn't work. And it kind of created this big bust, this bubble.
Who was the presidential candidate that I talked about one night that just had to have a higher minimum wage, and now he's got it without even the law being passed? Bernie.
Bernie, yeah.
He was all about this higher wage, and now nobody even talks about it. Like, where's he at? Where's his discussion about
the wage is so high?
It's all calmed down because people are even making more than what he recommended.
Mm-hmm. And the
economy did it on its own without the law, by the way.
Exactly.
Which is the way it should be, in my opinion.
I agree too. But what I don't agree with is how you said things have doubled and tripled because wages have gone up. But that's just what companies think. They're like, you have more money,
that's the way free enterprise works. That's the way free enterprise works.
But if the companies ever thought of, you have more money, you're still going to buy our product. If we keep it cheap, you may buy more of our product. So therefore, you're making more.
I have not raised my prices in years, and I'm not going to. I've had people come on board to my company wanting to raise the price. I said, look, man, I would rather struggle as to take advantage of the public.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you treat people right, it's going to come back in spades.
And
you may have some bad days, some bad weeks, some bad months, some bad years, but you know what? On the whole, it's all going to come back to your favor, in my opinion.
I agree.
If you treat people right.
I agree with you.
And I could raise prices, make a lot more money, but it's just, I don't want to do that. People have got enough pressure.
Right.
So being in the home repair business, which most people probably know that watch us, but every day, we have to deal with fixing cars, fixing appliances, etc. And I want people to have a good feeling about it, not like, oh my God, I had to pay all that money. That's terrible. I don't want that.
I agree with you.
I want people to feel like it's fair. How are we doing on time?
We're at 14 minutes right now.
Golly, that went by quick.
I know.
So let's see what some of my notes are saying here. Massage or take more time to make better choices. So in other words, you
weigh your options.
Yeah, you have to just slow down a little bit and make better choices in life, just in general.
That's probably one of
and don't be so stressed about this and this and this and this. Just calm down.
I might agree with you the most on that because that was something that I still have a problem with it because if I'm given a choice, I'll weigh them out. And then if I have 3 choices, 2 of them could sound really good and I have to pick the right one. It's stressful, but if you sit there and weigh them out, like you said, take your time. Sometimes it takes a day or 2 to deliberate. Once you make that choice, you're usually going to be all right with it. You're going to be okay with that choice.
And even if you make a bad choice, hopefully you'll make more good choices than bad choices.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's like we talk about the war. You might lose some battles, but you're still going to win the war.
Yes.
Don't worry about failing. We talked about that on many podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Just enter the fray. Don't hesitate. Figure it out. Take your time and make good choices. If you make a bad decision, pick yourself back up and try again. It's not like the end of the world. I think about what the most important thing really every day is our health.
I agree.
If you've got good mental health and good physical health, you can always, hang in there and try again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have a bad day doesn't mean the world comes to an end.
Exactly.
But if you're not good physically, if you're not good mentally, you keep digging a deeper hole, deeper hole, deeper hole, deeper hole. It's no good. Cannot do that. Sometimes you have to just take a deep breath, step back, relax, reorganize, restructure, and move forward again.
I agree.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it a million times in my life. Not just in business, but in all parts of my life.
Me too, myself included.
So I'm not trying to preach, guys. I'm just speaking from experience, my own experience of what got me to where I'm at today in my life, which on the personal development side to me is a lot more than building a successful company. Because if you've got that in your favor, you can do anything.
I agree with you.
Smile. I know a lot of times I'll go just to like the store and people are like so down in the dumps, and I'll just like smile at them and try to get a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple to do, and a lot of times they'll smile right back, and I guarantee you that'll make their days in some cases. Because people are so negative these days.
I agree.
Be friendly. Open the door for people. We talked about that earlier. Tip your hat. That's an old saying. Where does that come from? Is that like an English thing?
It's got to be.
Like, I think it was of respect to a woman, perhaps. Maybe it's just a man or a woman. You gotta look that up sometime.
I'll look it up for you.
Tipping your hat to somebody is a way to, it's basically a way to show respect to another person. Be interested in other people's problems. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about what they have going on. And you'll find that conversation will go a lot better than if you sit there and gloat and brag about yourself all the time. Be interested in other people's problems. I'm not saying you got to turn it into a therapy session, but hang out with them if they're down in the dumps. Encourage them, particularly friends or family. Lend a hand for people if they're struggling. Don't think that that's a bad thing. That's a good thing to try to help other people when they're going through some stress. That'll help you become less stressed, actually. And finally, I want to say that you should follow the golden rule. What's the golden rule?
Never give up.
No,
for me.
No, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yes.
In other words, treat people the way you want to be treated. Let me repeat that. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In other words, treat people the way that you want to be treated. Don't be a hypocrite, right? Did you find out what?
So I did. There's a couple of different ones.
Okay, what does it say about tipping your hat?
So here's the one that makes the most sense. It says, tipping of the hat is a conventional gesture of politeness. Overall.
Politeness, okay.
And the hat tipping custom has the same origin as military saluting. So it's like a military salute.
It's like a military
salute. Came from the raising of a medieval knight's face visor to show friendliness.
I see. Opening up the visor.
Mm-hmm, to show that they're friendly.
They're friendly and not like a foe.
Correct. So then that moved to the military of saluting. But then also tipping your hat came from...
So when you say tip the hat, it like literally take the hat off.
Mm-hmm. And shows a gesture of politeness. Yeah.
But nobody wears hats anymore.
Exactly. So
some people do.
Some people, if they're bald, no, just kidding.
That is interesting, though. I see a lot of people with a lot of hair that still wear hats, too. Which
true.
You always think if they're wearing a hat, they're bald. But
we're at 20.
We're at 20 minutes?
We're at 20.
Okay. A few Ron's rants and we'll get out of here. So what's the deal? This is some pop culture crap.
All right.
What is the friggin' deal with Elon Musk? I love Elon Musk. If you're out there, call us, write us, email us, contact us, come see us.
You just got to get on.
Be on our podcast, man. We would love to have you, honestly. But for a lot of reasons, not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of the people that are listening, watching. And also, I would love to, trade some barbs with you. Okay, so here's the deal. Why is he changing the name of Twitter to X? But he has a fascination with X.
Okay.
SpaceX. His first company was called X.com, or one of his first companies. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And I think some of his children might be named with an alphabet letter.
One of them is, yes.
Is it X or Y or Z?
So I want to say it's binary code. It almost looks like an equation. Almost.
So is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Bad. It's awful. So
what's his trip? He doesn't care. He thinks it's going to be a good marketing tool. He wants to get rid of the whatever's
he wants
going
to
on
make
with
it his
Twitter?
own, and I understand that.
See.
I understand that from what I can tell.
Okay.
But I'm on Twitter. I'm a Twitter user.
Okay.
So from what I've been seeing is that there's arguments, which this is what I learned in school as a communication major. You don't take a brand that has been thriving and is one of the only brands to do what they've been doing for so many years and change it. You don't do that. That's like McDonald's changing to Donald's.
Okay, so let's say you're right. What is his justification for doing it? What is his motive? If you're guessing.
If I had to guess, it's like a shock value thing. It's like, it's going to cause everyone to be like, oh, what's happening?
Wow.
What is this? You know, and it's already, people are already talking about it.
He got so much money that he doesn't care? Is that what's going on?
Kind of, but so think of it. You don't use Twitter, but yet you're bringing it up and you even know about it.
Yes.
Think about that. You're bringing so much attention to your company with users, with people that don't even use your platform.
Okay.
So I think he's just kind of getting people to look. You know, kind of an ooh, ah.
We better keep moving because we're running out of time. Eye drop. They've got an eye drop thing now that's helping blind people see. Not like people that have never had vision, but
cataracts.
People that know. I think it's something like there's some kind of disease where blisters grow over the eyes, and now they've got these eye drops that are. And I may be making it sound too trite, but it may be more sophisticated than that. But somehow this liquid is allowing people, it's clearing it all up and they can see again. That's pretty crazy. I told you about the new technology where they're growing teeth in mice.
Yes.
And they're also growing hair, too. I was going to talk about all this thing. They're cloning. They're only a few years away from probably cloning hair now.
Interesting.
They've been working on that for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bosley's been around.
And then growing organs in the laboratory as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's coming along, too. So there's all kinds of wild technological advances happening, particularly in medicine. Drug users. Oh, so now they say that dementia is a common thing amongst drug users. There's a real connection.
That would make sense. Forgetfulness.
I'm not trying to harp on people that smoke pot, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, anything in the lungs, in my opinion, is not healthy other than air. And the vaping thing, who knows how that's going to turn out. It may turn out to be worse than cigarettes.
It could. There's a lot of problems with a lot of different
7-year itch. So Sofia Vergara. The Modern Family beauty, right? Mm-hmm. Is getting a divorce. Guess how many years they've been married?
7.
7 years. So I often talk about the 7-year itch. Now, you couldn't find a more beautiful, gorgeous, exciting, successful woman than Sophia. And yet, they're divorcing. Think about that.
There's been some context.
Because romance wanes.
I agree. There's also been some context.
The way the brain works, I've studied this, the brain chemistry, it just changes.
There's been some context that has come out with that. Apparently her ex-husband, wanted to have children and she did not. That was one of the big reasons.
Regardless.
Exactly. I agree with you. I'm just adding context to it. Because that happens a lot in relationships.
They had to always know that from the beginning. So they still got married. I think it's more than that. I think it is. I think you get tired of the same person after 7 years and you want out. That's why I never got married. I know that sounds crazy, but because I have a lot of friendships that I enjoy. But if you put the romance in there, it's a whole different program.
Yeah, it changes everything. It changes everything.
I got one more thing we'll get at it. Oh, that's the dopamine thing. So they said that, here's the numbers. Let's see, food was at 100. This is crazy. Coke was at 400.
Coca-Cola?
Heroin was at 800. And they said that meth was at 1,500. I didn't get an alcohol number, but you get the idea. Mm-hmm. That's great. I would have thought heroin would have been the most, but it's not.
Meth, meth is
nothing like meth.
Yeah, meth is
I smoked it one. I remember I smoked it one time, and it was a whole different feeling than the cocaine.
I've never done any hard drug.
And it lasted. The feeling lasted a lot longer than the cocaine. I can see why there's.
That's the biggest thing is that it lasts a lot longer. Mm-hmm. And with Coke, if you want it to last longer, you're most likely going to die of a heart attack. Wow. And your chances of having a heart attack while doing Coke within the first 15 minutes go up by 200%. Yes, 200%. Just think about that.
So what's the cartoon where at the end of the cartoon they said that's all, folks?
Yeah, that's
is that Bugs Bunny?
No, Looney Tunes. Yes, but it was the pig.
Oh, the pig.
Oh, what was his name?
Did he stutter?
Yes, he had a stutter.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
That's all I got, guys. What do you got to say to finish? What's your
Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're still here, we appreciate you.
Yeah, there's always like 1 or 2% of you guys that always listen. every time to the whole podcast. And
we are very thankful.
I love you guys, whoever you guys are.
We appreciate you.
Yes, we sure do. So if you don't have anything else to say, I'm going to say this. Dav and I had an interesting experience recently, and one of our goals came to fruition. And I told Davin the other night, I said, just remember, Davin, if you don't give up, the stars will line up. Okay, guys, until next time, hang in there and stay positive.